What are the 5 essential skills for entrepreneurs? Now, if you're an entrepreneur, you probably know this. There are way more than 5 essential skills, and there are. But the 5 that I wanted to share today were 5 that I don't think that we realize are so important. And I also, as I was reading through them again, I thought, well, this is crazy because these are 5 essential skills of parenting. And I have been very, very fascinated with the overlap between parenting and entrepreneurship. Um, because it came up when I was coaching a client recently, and he was talking about the struggle between training his employees. And he was talking specifically about, how do you get them to answer the phone? And they don't know how to handle the clients and they get upset because obviously what's happening is they are being called only when there's a problem. So you start to get this point where, you're just like dreading the phone calls because there's a problem here. What's going on? You answer and you're like, hello, and somebody's yelling at you. Yeah. And you're like, oh. And our natural human instinct is when somebody's upset with us, for us to get upset with them back. And I was laughing inwardly, not at him, but it's because it's like, oh, I know the answer to this. And it's not from the source that you think it was. It's not from because I've taken an MBA degree. And it is not because I have worked in HR for so long. I actually have worked in HR more than once. But it's because I am a parent and also because I learned this from my mom when she was teaching me. You can teach a 10-year-old how to answer the phone in a proper way. If you can teach a 10-year-old child how to answer the phone properly, which we have all fallen out of the habit of this because none of us have phones on our walls anymore, then I'm pretty sure that you as an employer could block out a little bit of time to train your employee how to answer the phone properly. But the only reason why he hadn't thought of this himself is because he's just so busy. And so entrepreneurs, just like parents, we fall into this trap of thinking that we have to do everything ourselves. And that slows us down from taking a measured approach and figuring out how do we get some of that time back? Well, we get some of that time back by investing some of that time in training those other people that want to help us, whether they be our little children or our employees. We've got to train them with our mindset. So this is it's something that gets talked about on such a high end level that we sometimes, because we talk about this, how to hire and fire employees. We're thinking about people that have hundreds of clients or hundreds of employees. I'm starting to get distracted because I'm like, I have gone way off topic in my illustration because this is turning into, how to train. And I should have made this a separate video. But we struggle with this because we are thinking from this high end level of, like I need training manuals and all that. And we don't break it down to see that what we're doing is when we are training somebody, we are just taking time, investing time, not just taking time, but we are investing time that we currently have to gain some of that time back in the future. So the same thing with our kids. When we're training our kids, we're investing current time, like teaching them how to unload the dishwasher, so that we gain some of that time back in our future. Obviously, it takes so much more time to train somebody than it does to do it yourself in the moment. But if you do it right, then you'll gain all that time back in spades, in huge dividends. All right. That was a long introduction that went into its own little mini lesson, mini podcast. But let me get back to my original 5 essential skills for entrepreneurs. So you're an entrepreneur and you are wondering, what are some areas that I need to work on to have a better business? You're a parent and you're wondering, what are some skills I need to work on to be better at parenting? And I want to point out 5 areas that might be missing your attention. That I call anything a skill that we can literally get better simply by practicing. And one of the reasons why I wanted to point out these 5 is because a couple of them, you may not think of them as skills. You may think of them as talents or gifts, something that you either naturally have or you don't have. And I want you to think about them as skill sets, things that you can practice and get better at. So, 5 essential skills. Essential skill number 1, empathy. Empathy for the entrepreneur looks like this: the ability to see the situation from the client's perspective. Let's go back to that phone call. They're calling in, they have a problem, and you're thinking, what is their deal? Don't they understand? This happened. Not that my husband ever did this. He actually has a ton of empathy. But people would call in, like, why didn't you mow my grass this week? And he's like, because it rained 4 days and it's a mud pit. And we don't want to tear up your lawn by putting tracks in it. But he never got upset at them because he understood, he had empathy that from their perspective, they really, really wanted their grass to be mowed. And in fact, because he had so much empathy, he was actually very proactive at communication. And so he didn't have a lot of people calling him about that because he was letting them know ahead of time, hey, this is the situation, this is why, this is what's going to happen. But empathy, are you getting upset when your clients come to you with problems? Then you need to work on your skill of empathy, the ability to see from the client's perspective. So from your perspective, you're seeing, this is how my business runs. This is all the clients I have. These are all the things that I have going on. And you just need to add one little piece. How is my client seeing this? How are they feeling about this? What is their perspective? Okay. I wanted to mention that first because I want to follow it up immediately with this second skill that people who are naturally empathetic might be weak in, and people who need to work on empathy might not have a problem with. These 2 skills go hand in hand. The better that you get at maximizing both of them, it's going to transform your business in a way that you won't even be able to imagine. By the way, parenting too. This is huge. First one is empathy, being able to see from the client's perspective, being able to see from your child's perspective. Second one, boundary setting. Being able to say, if you do this, I do this. Or in your business, these are the services we provide for the price, the reason why, and we do not change this just because somebody complains. Let me give you another example from lawn care. Client called him very, very upset because the guys had not removed the sticks from her yard, which is surprising because how in the world are you going to mow grass if there's sticks all over the yard? And there, according to her, there were sticks all over the yard. So my husband was curious about this, like, what's going on? What's the problem? Until he went out to look. They were not sticks lying all over the yard. There were tiny little twigs in the yard. Twigs that you wouldn't actually pick up, you would want to rake up. Now, these lawn guys were trained and did their job in the way that they were trained, as in they were trained to mow the grass, to pick up the sticks, remove those out of the way so that you don't tear up your lawn equipment while you're mowing grass, and then to mow the grass. And That's it. That's what they were being paid for. Well, she wanted a very, very high level yard, and that is great. And listen, you, I want that for you too. It's another level of service. But when she would complain to the men that were showing up to do her yard, they felt bad. And so then they would start doing what she wanted, picking up these twigs by hand because they didn't even have rakes. Well, that's not in the pricing format. And so my husband had to teach his employees, these are the boundaries around our services. And just because the client is upset, you don't overstep them. If they stay upset, you have them call me. I will handle it. But these are the services they're actually paying us for. And these are things that are additional add-on services that we will be glad to do at a set scheduled time. And there's a different pricing model for that. Services and pricing models, people, those are boundaries. Let me give you another example of a boundary in your business. The hours that people can get a hold of you, or times when you will return their calls. If you are a solo entrepreneur and people are calling you all day long, put a boundary on yourself. Notice I said on yourself. Don't answer your phone, allow it to go to voicemail, return your calls twice a day. Train your people. Hey, listen, I return my calls around lunchtime and at the end of the day. And if you call after that, then I'll get you tomorrow at lunchtime or at the end of the day. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Set boundaries, respect your own boundaries, teach your clients to respect their boundaries. All right. But you don't have to get angry at it because you're empathetic, because you see where they're coming from. Of course, this woman wants her lawn to be taken care of at the highest level possible. She had a husband that used to take great, great pleasure in doing this kind of work. She's going through an adjustment period right now. She's not sure. She doesn't understand fully what are the services that we offer for this level. What are the services we offer at this level of pricing? Have empathy and boundaries. Okay. The two are magical pieces that go together. All right. Skill number 3, evaluation. Every time that somebody is upset, you're going to want to think something has gone drastically wrong, or you're going to want to say they're always upset and ignore what they're saying. Well, they're always complaining. Just forget that. Just move on. Don't care. No. Just evaluate. Always evaluate. Always approach a situation with evaluation. Evaluate every situation. Hiram is starting a membership very, very soon for business owners that want to double their business in half their time. And one of the key aspects of reaching that kind of goal is this skill right here, evaluation. Now, I think one of the reasons that we do not evaluate is because we don't think about it. We're just busy putting out fires and then looking back and saying, how did that happen? But another reason we don't evaluate is because we think it's going to take too much time. Oh, I don't have time to do a deep dive into all the things that are wrong in my business. I just need to keep the balls rolling. I just need to keep everything going. This is why you just want to create for yourself an evaluation process that is simple, that is measurable, and that you do all the time because it's simple and measurable. It's not hard. And because it benefits you. If your evaluations are just making you feel worse about yourself and your business, you're doing your evaluations wrong. We teach a very, very simple evaluation method. It's called, you're just asking 3 questions. What's working? What's not working? What would I do differently? But you do it at certain times. And you do it in a way that you glean valuable information out. So evaluation, it is a skill that every entrepreneur should have in their tool belt. This is a skill also that every parent should be having. And the times that you want to be doing your evaluations are all those times that you feel vague guilt of, I'm probably doing something wrong. Well, you probably are. But let's start with what's working. Always start with what's working before you go to what's not working. All right. That should be another topic all on its own, but we're going to keep on moving on. Okay, so 5 essential skills for entrepreneurs. Number 1 was empathy. Number 2 was boundary setting. And put those two together, balance them. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Number 3, evaluation. So you can always keep that ball moving forward. But here's a skill that I don't think is taught as a skill either. And it is definitely something that you as an entrepreneur need to make sure that if you are not naturally good at it, that you work on getting better at it. You're going to need it desperately. And or 2, have somebody by your side, a spouse or a mentor or a group, a community that reminds you to do this, practice this skill. And that is the skill of vision. As in, when you look at your business, when you even look at your life, are you coming from future faith or past pessimism? To have a business succeed, we cannot always be creating it from, well, this is what worked in the past, and or this is what didn't work in the past, and that's why we do it. When we do this, we become so reactive in our business instead of responsive. Let's go back to that illustration where we're talking about, the guys who are, mowing the lawn, apparently there's sticks lying all over the lawn with their twigs. Well, if we use that and it's like, oh, we were going from past pessimism, then we'd be like, the next time that, Hiram's going to onboard a new potential client, he would be having this whole big old conversation. And by the way, we just want you to know that when we mow your grass, we're going to pick up sticks, but we're not going to pick up twigs because the twigs are this size. No, you're answering questions that the client hasn't even asked, and you're complicating the process. And now the client is wondering, wait, why are you talking about this? Because I didn't even have that question. You're in the moment. You are working from past pessimism. I had a problem with this one client that I want to avoid in the future instead of coming from future faith of, oh, my clients love to work with me. And here's why. We take care of them in this way, and this way. Y'all, that's just one area. That's just one area of applying vision of future faith versus past pessimism in your sales process. That will make all the difference in, well, how many people that you convert from leads to clients. If you are, it changes your language. So this is a skill that you always want to be working on developing. Where is my business headed? Like, what is our goal for the future? What are we doing for our clients? What are we striving for versus how do we avoid that problem so that never happens again? How do we make sure that never, how do we, no. We answer some of those questions in the evaluation, but we do not want to create a reactive business model. We want to create a future-based business model. Same thing with parenting. We do not want to create a reactive parenting model versus we want to create a future-based parenting model. In parenting, if we had a reactive-based parenting model, then we would be saying, well, I don't want to do this because my parents did that and I hated it. Well, forget that. What is it that you want for your kids in the future that you need to make sure that you're doing a little bit of it today? See the difference? Okay. All right. So that's skill number 4. Make sure that you develop the skill of future vision versus past pessimism. And then skill number 5. Oh, y'all. Let me tell you this one. This is the one out of all of these. This is the one that I personally struggle with the most. I am not ashamed to admit it. And I will tell you, I literally, to get better at this skill, I kept on picking my 19-year-old son's brain. How would you think about this? What do you think about this topic? How would you see this? Because I knew I did not have the skill, but I also knew it was a skill that I could learn and I would benefit from learning, and it would benefit my business, and it would benefit my future, and it would benefit myself personally and my peace of mind. And I also knew every bit of the way that I had been trained had worked its training against the skill, against developing this skill. Okay. So, what is this mysterious skill? Adaptability. I spent a long time. So, I grew up in an independent fundamental Baptist church circles. I grew up in independent fundamental Baptist church. And then I grew up as a farmer's daughter. Those are two very, very traditional, skeptical of change mindsets to grow up under. So, if it still works, don't change it. You look at everything new as very skeptical. And so my ability to be able to adapt was very weak. I was very strong in this is the way we've done it always, and this is the way we should continue to do it. And it doesn't need to change. Never even evaluating whether something needs to change or not. And I also felt bad about anything changing, but I didn't understand this. Everything in life does and probably should keep on changing, except principles. The principle doesn't need to change because the principle are like laws upon which things work. For example, here's a principle in business. Businesses need to be profitable or they go out of business. That's a principle. You cannot have a business that loses money and have it for forever. Here is another principle. You cannot be only caring about your needs in the business, or you won't get any clients. You can't have a business that is so selfish that it disregards the desires of your clients, or you don't get any clients. Okay, that is a principle. That is, in fact, that's a principle that ironically comes from the verse in the Bible, love your neighbor as yourself. So there is a principle. But however, adaptability, how do I show that? How do I do that? What needs to change? So adaptability means that when things like AI come into the picture, artificial intelligence, or the opportunity to install self-checkouts at a grocery store, or I can't even share with you what it is, but somebody just called me up recently and says there is a robot that can do this in our industry. And I am like, oh, wow. I mean, like it's literally going to replace people in your industry. And he says, yes, don't say anything because we're still testing it. The question is, what do we do? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You practice your skill of adaptability. What's the principles? And everything else can change. So our strategies and our tactics. So because life is about change. If we never changed, then we would still be trying to farm with teams of oxen instead of tractors. And let me tell you, there'd be a whole lot of people starving if we were that resistant to change. So adaptability. Be adaptable. Look and this really does go with skill number 4, vision, as in future faith. Look towards the future. In what areas do we need to change? Make this be a responsive skill instead of a reactive skill. Don't wait. Please don't wait until you are forced to change and you go kicking and screaming the whole way. When computers first came onto the scene. Now, not every business owner ran out and bought a computer in 1970s when they first came out. But if you still haven't bought a computer, wow, how in the world are you even doing business? If you still haven't gone online with your business, how many clients are you missing just because they don't know you exist? Adaptability. This came in very big, strong measure. Let me give you an example from my own industry. Coaching. So coaching, a lot of people think is very, very similar to counseling. And so then they have this mindset that the most effective coaching and the most effective counseling needs to be done in person, one person sitting beside another person. But when COVID happens, people were very resistant. Some people were very resistant to the idea of, can I get the same amount of service, the same amount of transformation, the same amount of help from doing online versus in person? I was very fortunate in this area. This is one area where I had already practiced the skill of adaptability, because I had somebody that had already wanted to coach with me who was from Washington State, and I was in Missouri at the time. And I didn't even know that there was a Zoom option at this time. So I'm like, well, I guess we can coach by phone, and it was very early in my coaching career. And I'm like, well, let's try coaching by phone. Let's see how it works. And I discovered something super amazing just because I was willing to be adaptable. I found out you can hear so much from a person's voice, even if you can't see their face, even if you can't see their reactions. From the pauses in their voice on the phone, you can be able to discern and hear so much. And it was probably because of that, being willing to adapt to make this work for another person, that I also learned the power of asking really great questions and pausing long enough for the person to hear me and to answer, because I couldn't rely upon my eyes. I had to rely upon my ears. All right. So when it comes to adaptability, this is what I want you to think. I want you to know the principles of success, and then I want you to flex on the rest. All right. If you will work on these 5 essential skills: empathy, boundary setting, evaluation, vision, and adaptability, know the principles of success, flex on the rest, you will be so much stronger in your business. I don't care what your business is. These are skills that every leader needs to have when they're leading their business, when they're taking it to the next level, when they are even leading a ministry, or if you are a parent. Adaptability. Know the principles of success of parenting and flex on the rest. Do what works for your family, not for anybody else. All right. I hope this has helped. And let me say this. I know for some of you, you're thinking, there's a couple of these skills that I'm not really great and strong at, and I'm not even sure I know all the principles of success when it comes to business. And I can tell that I'm struggling with this because my business is not growing. It's stagnating. If that is you, and if that is something that you would like help on, we have something to offer you. Hiram and I have realized not every... All right, we have 2 things to offer you. Okay. Number 1, we have a very high-end one-on-one coaching program. And that is where I personally come in and do a deep dive into your business. And I look at you personally as the leader in your business. And we make sure, and then we look at your personal life, and we make sure that all three of those pieces are going together, because we have to make sure that we identify the true bottlenecks that are in your life. And it might be something that's in your business, but it might be something in your personal life that is not allowing you to concentrate on your business. Or it might be something in your business that is distracting you from your personal life. So, anyway, that's my high end program. And not everybody is ready for that level of financial commitment and that level of service. So we were thinking about, how in the world can we help more people? And we realized one of the ways that we could help more people is by creating a very private place for businessmen specifically. And I'm going to explain to you why specifically businessmen, male business owners in just a second. But we wanted to do it so that, number one, you can learn the same principles that I teach my other clients. And you can learn it in a community of other motivated entrepreneurs who are doing the same thing. And they may or may not be in your industry, but they have your same drive, your same mindset, the same desire to be the best of the best in your industry, so that you can also have the best of the best in your life, for your family, for your legacy. And when we do that as a group, it's amazing, because there's a line that says all boats rise. When you get motivated people together, then they bring an energy. So when we're working on common goals, common challenges, and when we are applying these principles and we are evaluating our businesses, and also there is a place for you to get personalized help on where you are exactly at this moment, then you too can experience the benefits that my one-on-one clients receive in the VIP coaching. So this will be launching very, very soon. It's called the VIP Business Lounge for Men. And if you're interested in the details about that, and it is a monthly membership for men to get help in their business. However, we know this. It is we are not just our business. We are humans in our business. And so that is why we have formatted it the way we have. And one of the recent things that we have done is, I know that me personally as a woman, I have been incredibly blessed to have been part of masterminds and part of groups of other women who have helped me when I was building my business. And my husband, looking at that, saw it and he's like, I want the same thing for men. And I said, okay, I'll help you. But it is going to be a community where you, as a man, get the type of encouragement you need on all aspects of your life. If you'll look back, you'll find out that Hiram and I have done quite a bit of working on things like marriage. And that is because we know this. If one area of life is struggling, it's affecting another area. So, for example, one of the things I realized when I was working with some of my marriage clients was how much pressures in the business were being played, were straining the marriage relationship. And so we just decided that for the sake of delivering the highest level of support possible, At this time, we were going to limit it to just men. So we could focus on the issues that were facing men specifically. So if that is something that is, sounds like something that you've been looking for, then all you have to do to find out the details about it is to send a message to Hiram Bragg on Facebook. You can drop an emoji in the chat below. And if you have any questions, make sure that you post them in the comments below and we'll be glad to answer those. Or if you want to speak privately, then make sure that you send a message to Hiram Bragg. Okay. But I hope that these 5 essential skills have helped you. I hope that you are able to extrapolate them, that you're able to use them, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your ministry, whether it's in your parenting. Listen, as a teacher, this would be so useful in a school setting. There's so many areas because principles do work across multiple areas. And remember, if you know the principles of success, you can flex on all the rest. You can flex on the tactics and on the strategies. The principles don't change, but the strategies and the tactics do. So spend your time learning the principles and then putting them to action in your life in your own special, unique, created, and creative way. All right. That's all I've got for you. I hope this has helped. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.